Welcome to Journaling with Nature, the podcast for those who want to turn curiosity into wonder, a pencil sketch into a rabbit hole of discovery, a moment of stillness into a life full of joy. I'm your host, Bethan Burton. Let's open the pages of our nature journals and explore this world together. Hello, this is episode 65. First thing I want to share with you is that this week, the Journaling with Nature podcast has just passed 50,000 all-time downloads. That feels like something really big and something to celebrate. And I want to thank you for being here and for helping to reach this milestone. I really didn't know what would happen after I started this podcast last year, whether it would be useful or interesting to someone. And so it really warms my heart to know that the episodes have been downloaded more than 50,000 times. It means so much that you're here with me, listening and supporting the show. Today's guest is Rafa Benjumea. Rafa is a biologist, ornithologist, educator and illustrator, as well as being a travel guide and birding guide, helping people to appreciate the beauty and significance of the birds in the Strait of Gibraltar. On top of all of this, Rafa has created his own business, bringing his love of nature and art together, teaching others to develop their observational skills, curiosity, and creativity through nature journaling. During our conversation, Rafa talks all about his work studying raptor migration, how birds connect people and places, and how they can be used as a fantastic tool for education. Let's listen. Rafa, thank you so much for being here. I'm very, very excited to chat with you on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks to you, Beth, and for me it's a pleasure to be with you and talk about the nature journal sketching.
So I always start my podcast by going back in history and talking about my guests and their nature experiences in childhood. Did you have nature in your childhood?
Yeah, sure. I was interested in nature since I was a kid. When I was very, very small, I was living out of the city, and I always want to run on the flowers and looking for insects. And I always be very interested in what it was happening in the nature. No, as soon as you look to some places, and at that moment there were many lizards surrounding. I was pretty amazed about lizards and frogs and everything. So yeah, and I'm with my parents. We used to go outside on holidays and always we went to the field. So it was a good moment to learn about nature.
And how about art? Was art a big part of your childhood? Most people have art, that freedom of art when they're children, and then they maybe give up. And some people don't give up. Did you have art always in your life, or was there a period where it wasn't part of your life?
Yeah, that's true. It's something that happens when I teach some workshops or whatever. There are many people that they really like, but when they have around 12, 15, they stop drawing or the art. For me, it wasn't the case. I was really enjoying. I'm always enjoying. It was like when I want to relax or escape or something, I just take a paper and a pen and just draw whatever. When I was kid, I really like, and I still do, the comics. I always was drawing comic things or small drawings everywhere, and even when I was studying. And I always studying and drawing things. If I check on my notes were at the university, even it was full of drawings and everywhere. And it was nice. It was a good thing. It was a good way to learn and to study. When as soon as you draw. I don't know, when you are studying biology, you have many cases that you can draw a cell or a plant or whatever, no? And you always remember better than if you write it down.
Yes, super useful. Why do you think that is? Why do you think drawing or committing something to paper is so useful for memory?
I think because you pay more attention on the things, and you are doing two things. You are checking what you see, and you also drawing
Yes.
it. So it's two times that you make like a double effort. And at the end, the thing that you make manually, I think you remember easily. So if I take my journal, I can remember quite easy when I was drawing some flowers, some animal or whatever. And I remember just where I was thinking, where I was feeling, or where I was, and how was the weather. It's one of the best ways to study and to remember things.
Yeah. So at university, you studied biology, is that right? Can you tell me about your studies?
Yeah, I was studying biology. I was a good student in the high school because
Okay.
I don't know, it was quite easy, but at the university it changed a bit because I was doing also sports, cycling and things, and I wasn't too much focused on the first years in the university. They are quite hard for me because they were like general things, you learn chemistry or physics, and it wasn't things that I didn't like too much. And when I don't like things, yeah, it's a bit tricky for me to study. But as soon I reached the third year, it was okay because and then I start to learn ecology that I really like and is very interesting for me. I was studying zoology. I'm pretty amazed about animals in general. Ethology, I like the behavior of the animals. And yes, and then after the third and fourth year, I was better. I improved my level at the university, and then it was quite nice.
And your career seems to have been really focused on birds and ornithology, is that right?
Yeah, but at the beginning, I have to say that I started my PhD with freshwater fish, so it was totally
Okay,
different.
that's
Yeah,
very different.
but when I was a student, I was collaborating with the department of the freshwater fish. There was a big group that they were working with the freshwater fish, and I looked pretty nice, and also I enjoy a lot the field work. Was very nice to go to the river, and you not only see fish but also insects, small mammals like otters, and I was very interested. And when I end up in my studies, they offered me a PhD, and I said, well, it's okay, I can do it, I really like. And then I started with them, and I did my studies there. But after a few years, I realized that there were not too many opportunities to find like new projects and different things. And then I have a job offer to go to the Strait of Gibraltar. This is in the very south of Spain, the southern point of Europe, and we are very close to Africa. And they offered me to work with freshwater fish because I was specializing on that, but also in raptor migration. The Strait of Gibraltar is a very important place for bird migration because all the birds that they were breeding in North Europe and in Europe, they go to Africa in our winter, and they look for the Strait of Gibraltar because we are only 14 kilometers from the strait. And then I said, yeah, it's very good opportunity. And then I took it, and after that, the fish project finished and ended up, and then there were no continuation. But with the raptor migration, there were many more projects and more money about that. And then I changed everything, and I started to work with birds, and especially with migration. And since then, well, it was in 2006, I think. Yeah, 2005. I started working with birds, and now I discovered this nice group. How amazing how birds do the behavior, migration, the breeding, everything. And then I always like to work with this group.
It must be amazing to follow the migrations each year. There's something really cyclical and rhythmic about that, and to get to know these patterns and over many, many years must be a really amazing thing.
Yeah, it's for me, it's one of the best things of nature. It's one of the great events of nature. How big population, thousands and thousands of birds They fly in the sky and cross the strait to go to Africa to survive and to continue. Yeah, I was amazed by this phenomenon. I discovered it like when I was volunteering for the government. They make volunteering for young people, and since the very first day, I was amazed about that. I really like also to draw everything and to record of my sightings and dates. Also, migration is a good thing to study climate change. You can see if you make like a long-term project, you can see that the migration is changing a bit, and sometimes it's because of the climate change.
What have you noticed? What have been the differences that you've seen over time?
Especially it's very difficult because you need like very long-term studies.
Yes.
Here in the Strait of Gibraltar, we have studies about 40 years old, and then it's quite good time. And we have seen changes. For example, in barn swallows, when they were migrating in the 70s, they were later than now. Now they are living. Sorry, they are later now. They are migrating like 2 weeks later than before. So it's a small change, only 2 weeks, but for a huge population of birds that all of them they change for 2 weeks. It means something, and maybe it's because there are more mosquitoes, and it is warmer, and there are more mosquitoes or insects to eat, so they don't need to go to Africa. So this is why they are being late.
Yeah. And you've also done bird surveys and bird monitoring programs with local people in Senegal, and I'd love to hear more about that as well.
Yeah, I'm involved in different projects. One of them is in Senegal. It's quite cool to go to Africa and discover new places, new landscapes, but the same birds. It's I really like to see. Many people want to go to Africa just to see new species or tropical species. That is also nice, but I really enjoy to see our birds because they were born here, but I really like to see them in winter, where you see here during the breeding season, and now they change totally the landscape, and it's very interesting. And I was working there with ospreys. The ospreys that they are breeding in Europe, they spend the winter in Africa. In Senegal is a good place. And we were working in a small village. It's a very nice project because it's a small village that it is inside of the national park. So we work also with the people that they are very close to the birds, and they see the ospreys, they see the osprey fishing and everything, and then it's a good opportunity to create links with people and nature. And birds is a good tool to use, and you see how people, when they discover the osprey and they know that they are coming really far away every winter, they are surprised when they see them fishing. That is very impressive, and then they are very proud to be in the national park, and they want to protect it and conserve and everything. It's a nice project, and people in Senegal, they are very, very nice and very friendly, and they are always looking for nature. It was good. They learned, but I learned much more than them, I think.
That's really special to see the birds in both locations, the summer home and then follow them almost to the winter home. It reminds me of something. I have a friend who lives in California, and she studied what we call mutton birds, and the mutton birds make their way from all the way over here. We have mutton birds, mostly these ones fly from New Zealand, and they cross the world, and so from all the way over here they cross the world and they spend their time there in California. And it just felt like an amazing link that these birds can cross the world, and in some way it links us, because even though we're on opposite sides, the birds link us.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's good when you make this connection also with people. It's quite cool, and then it's a good thing to show to the people and to teach and to create some
Yeah.
some conservation feelings about it, and you also know that there are not your birds, because people from Europe, for example, they say this,
Yes.
they are my birds because they are breeding here,
Yes.
and they lay the eggs here. They are our birds, but actually they spend like more time in Africa than in Europe. So maybe it's our birds, but also the birds from the people from Africa. And when you think on conservation, it's always good thing to think about the wintering area and the breeding area. So because if you protect the species in the breeding areas, it's okay. But if you forget the wintering areas, then you have a problem. So yeah, it's
Yes.
very good.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And also just collaboration between countries and connections between people is super important with conservation efforts.
It's basic. We needed to
Yeah.
collaborate with everybody and know what is happening one side and the other side. No? It's quite cool.
Yeah. I read about a conservation and environmental education project that you started, and my pronunciation is so terrible, but I'm going to say Educave?
Educaves, yeah.
Educaves. Can you tell me about this, about helping teachers and students learn about birds and conservation?
Yeah, Educaves is like it's a Spanish word that makes bird and education. It's like aves is birds,
Okay.
and edu is education. So we make a funny word like is education through the birds. Yeah, it was nice that you found this project in. Yeah, I started this project in 2009 with the local government of South Spain in Andalusia. It's a big region. There are nine provinces, and I was working with teachers and professors. So I teach teachers about birds, but not about conservation or how to or the name of the birds. Just to I want to show them that the birds are a good educational tool to teach in the classrooms. So it was totally different at the beginning. They were a bit surprised, but as soon as they realized that it's a very good thing to teach, it's quite cool. So then I have teachers from biology, of course, but also have teachers that they teach mathematics or languages or history or whatever. And this is pretty cool because you can teach whatever you want with birds, talking with birds. For the students, it's funny because birds are it's a new thing. They are nice. They are colorful, and they have these movements, the behavior, and then they are always interested. And if you teach well, you can use the birds from the history, for example, from the language, or if you teach English, you can teach English with birds, like the parts of a bird or the country where they move or whatever. And it was quite successful project. I was working there since in 10 years, or no, 15 years.
Wow.
It was a lot. I have around 400 teachers working with me, and it was quite impressive, the results. And it was good because here normally in Spain, the educational projects, they were focused on the students. That is okay, it's good. But if I spend only one day with the students, well, they have fun, they like it, and they are also not studying, they are avoiding the classes, so it's funny to go out and see birds. But at the end, you are not really studying the things and connecting with the things. But if I teach teachers and then they work with the students, it's quite good because they can spend like 3 months with them talking with
Yes.
birds. And at the end, it was quite successful, and I really, really like it. And now I'm trying to do the same in Georgia, so in Eastern Europe. We have a new project with another NGO. It's called BRC, Batumi Raptor Count, and we want to do the same in Georgia because it's a nice place for birds as well.
Amazing. That sounds so good. So good to understand that you can teach anything through this, but also just to get young people inspired and looking for birds and out there outdoors doing that stuff. Sounds so good.
Yeah, it's quite impressive to see what they do. They even you can study politics with the birds. When the birds are moving, I have one group that they were studying the migration of a white stork, and in each country that they cross, they study the politics. So it was quite nice because they saw all the change from Germany, France, Spain, but also Morocco, Mauritania, Senegal. So it was quite nice. So it's a good thing to connect different things that they are totally disconnected in instance.
That's amazing. Oh, so inspiring. So among all the other research projects and teaching that you do, you are also a guide, and you have guided people in the Strait of Gibraltar looking at birds there. I'd love for you to talk about your guiding tours and what people can expect to see and how they go.
Yeah, this is another project that I start here because we saw that we have a lot of tourism, but mostly they go to the beach for the sun, and South Spain is very popular for foreigners to go to the beach. But we are in one of the best spots for raptor or bird migration in general. And I wanted to show to the people what is happening here over your head when you are laying on the sand, and then you see thousands of storks over your head. You say, what?
Yeah.
And since 2013, I started to guiding these trips. And it's doing well because we have a lot of nature here, and people, they really like when they see those huge groups flying, when you show them the species and they learn why they come here or how they cross the strait or everything. And I do like small groups, very, very small, so everything is very specialized, and I'm focused on the clients and the customers. So it's not a big group, the big tour that is a mess. So it's very, very, very nice to know also new people from everywhere. And yeah, so it's another part of my time. I work on that, especially during the migration in winter and in autumn. In spring and autumn.
Wow. And to add to all that, you've started your business as an environmental educator teaching nature journaling. And this is a wonderful thing to do. And I'd love for you to talk about, now my pronunciation again, Diarios de Naturaleza.
It was perfect. Yeah, it was. Well, as I told you at the beginning, I always like drawing. I never stopped drawing, and drawing everywhere and anywhere. Even when I was studying at the school, I was drawing in my tables. But kids don't do that, please. But I was drawing all the time. My mother was crazy because I was drawing everywhere as well. And it's one of my passion. And my other passion is nature. So I was thinking a lot of time, I would like to use both things and mix in some way in a new project about that. And it was because of the COVID, when we were under lockdown. Then I have a lot of time to think and to make. And I was drawing a lot, like many people. And then I said, well, why not? I can start make it professionally, and then some project. And then I was checking. I discovered John Muir laws and all the White World Conference, because in Spain it's not very popular. There are some people that they do it's more art people that they make nice paintings about nature, but not the nature journal sketch. I really like the idea, and I say, wow, this is my thing. This is what I want. It's incredible that I can mix both things. And then I start to start the project 2 years ago, and it's going pretty well. I'm doing some workshops and teaching. It's nice also as I work a lot in the high schools with the teachers, they really like also the idea of teaching with a nature journal sketch. It's a good thing as well. And yeah, it's little by little. I am at the beginning, but yeah, it's fun as well, so it's good.
That's so good. And when you take people out on workshops and show them this is a way to do it, to be free with your art, with your connection to nature, how have people been responding?
Yeah, this is very nice that many people can come to the workshops. They really like drawing, but they are a bit scared because they are under pressure because someone is looking to your drawing and say, "Whoa, it's not good. It's very bad." And they think all the time that they are doing badly. And this is the best thing that they have to see, that everything that you do is okay, is what I tell to them. If you write down a flower and the flower doesn't look like you like or you think what you want to do, no problem, make another one, do another one, and do it again. And if you see that it's not very similar, you can write down some words and some other things that you can recognize what it is. And when they cross this, they pass this scared moment, then they start to enjoy. And when you forget, you have to forget your final drawing, the product, forget it. Focus on the process, enjoy, have fun, and learn about nature.
It's very sad, don't you think, that so many people carry these fears and pressures from the past, or these ideas that they can't make art. I've had workshops where people are very, very stressed about the idea of putting pen to paper, and it's a bit of a shame, but it is so fun to see people break through that and realize that they can do it.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's maybe because of our education, because when you go to the school, you have to give a rate, and you are always how to say, you have a rate or a level.
Yes, you're marked, or you get a grade or something.
Exactly, and then they always think on that. I'm not doing well. I'm going to not pass this exam or whatever. But when they realize that nothing happens and you can draw whatever you want and it's always good, then they have a lot of fun and they enjoy a lot, and I am quite happy when I see that.
I saw online that you'd recently presented a workshop, an online nature journaling workshop, to a group of teachers, and what you said before about teaching anything and everything using birds, I feel like it's the same with nature journaling. Do you find that you can teach any subject through nature journaling?
Yeah, exactly. Everything that I learned in this project, Educaves, I can use it with a nature journal sketch, and I recommend to everybody to do it. When I did this talk online with teachers from Spain and South America. And it was quite impressive that when they realized that the nature journal exists, and also it's an incredible thing to learn, because you are using mathematics, you are using language, how to write, how to draw, how to see the colors. It's everything there. It's quite cool. And then after that, they realized that they also can draw, so it was quite good because they were scared of drawing. And we did some tests, and and they really like. I think this is also a good thing for teaching, no? For all this high school, even at the university. I think there is one signature that they had to be nature journal sketch.
I love it. I love giving workshops, and the first thing I often do is just do blind contour drawings or some sort of warm-up thing with people, and it gets them laughing and it gets them understanding that this can be silly and fun and joyful, and it doesn't have to be scary, and that everybody can do it. It's such a wonderful thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because when you do a workshop with kids, You say, do you want to draw? Do you like to draw me? And everybody say, yeah, I want to do it. Yeah. But if you do with adults, they are scared and they are just very small in the chair and they don't say anything. And it's what you say is very important. Like the first things is to draw, to warm your hand and to forget everything and forget the scare moments. And it's quite important because then they realize that it's just for fun.
Yeah, I think we can learn a lot from kids, in fact, even just about being curious and being open to the world, because children haven't learned, to be closed in that way. And, we, as adults, we think we know the world. There's a tree, there's a shrub, there's a bird, and kids don't have that. They're more wide open, and that's the mindset that we have, that we cultivate in nature journaling, is to be open and have the mind of a child and to know that everything is wondrous. And I think we can learn from kids about being free in art, and also learn from them about having this openness.
Yeah, exactly. That sometimes happens when you work with the adults, that they say, hey, we are going to draw this tree, and they draw the tree without watching the tree.
Yes,
so, because I know before that the tree is like that and that and that, and then draw.
Yes.
But you say, but look, the tree, maybe, I don't know, it's not green because of the light, it's pink. But you see pink, right? Draw the tree pink. And then think why it's pink, and think about and do some research and think like a kid. Like you say, it's very important to learn in that case from kids.
What are your favorite nature journaling materials? What do you take with you when you go out for a session?
I take very simple things, always very light things that I can take with me everywhere. And I use in watercolors mostly. And then I have this brush with what's called this water?
The water brush.
The water brush, yeah. And a pencil, and that's it.
Yeah.
Not too much. The ink makers as well, 2 of them.
What is it?
The ink makers. This.
Oh yeah, ballpoint. What do you call it? Fine liner. I call that a fine liner.
Okay. Yeah, fine liner. 2 of them, and that's it. Not too much. Not too many.
Yeah, it's good. I think we can get fussy about materials as well, and it can stop you being in the moment.
Yeah, with the material, I don't know. When you are home, you bring many things, but at the end, you have to choose. I prefer to have like 2 or 3 things. For example, for the brush, with 1 brush for me is okay. Then if I want to do something at home, then I have different kind of brushes and things. But to go to at field, I really like. I prefer to draw at the field. With this brush is quite okay. Actually, I don't feel that I'm an artist or whatever. I think that I like drawing and I enjoy, and with a few things for me it's okay. I'm not very sophisticated about this.
I love that though. I think that's it's interesting when I am looking at other people's pages or work on Instagram or something like that. There's a lot of perfectly rendered art there, and I like it, but it's, to me, I skim over it. And the stuff that I'm drawn to is the stuff that has more life, that's less perfect, and that has more energy and more vitality or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I also like that and it happens when you go to the field and draw directly in the field. It's more natural and it's more, I don't know, have more magic, let's say, because it's the moment, and then you have everything, and you don't think too much about your drawing, but you are observing and looking for new things and want to put it quickly in your paper. So this is why they are more real and more natural. Of course, it's not like a photography, but at the end, and if you complete that with the words and the numbers and your feelings as well, I really really like much more than like pretty drawing. And what I say in my workshops, as soon as you start to do that, and you repeat again and again and again, your drawings start to be better and better. I always say that you have to keep your first drawings. Don't throw away because maybe people, no, it's too ugly and they destroy it. No, don't do that. Keep it because maybe if you continue drawing in 2 months and 3 months, when you compare your drawing, you say, what impressive change I did in my drawings and my skills. Eh? And it's
that's really good advice. Yeah, I love that. So you mentioned words, pictures, and numbers, and this is a triad that we use in nature journaling. And often people are drawn to one or the other of these sort of languages. And I wonder if you're drawn mostly to the pictures, or if words and numbers come easily to you. How do you feel about bringing in all those three?
I focus sometimes on the drawing, but I always keep in mind that they have to write and to put the numbers. It's very important because if not, you have to drawing and nothing else. There is no. If you start to write then behavior or how it's moving or what is happening in the surroundings or whatever, it's much important that your drawing is perfect. And also numbers. I have seen that for people, in general, it's difficult to write down the numbers, but it's a good thing because to put the number has an effect that you have to think about. You have to count, you have to look how many legs it has, or you have to see how many flaps the bird do. And then they start to thinking, and then you have to discover patterns that they were hidden unless you count. And I think it's pretty nice. And then you say, wow, it's amazing. I discovered that by myself. Then it's good to use numbers as well as much as possible.
Yeah, it's a whole new layer, isn't it? It's a new layer of information, a new layer of understanding.
I always keep the numbers at the end because people really want to draw and they say okay, but leave space to write. And also when they are just relaxed and observing pretty well, you say, well, now you have to count because maybe there is something hidden. And it's funny. I'm happy when I see the people just counting or trying to look for those patterns that are happening in the nature. It's quite cool.
I wonder, with all your birding training and research, whether you're good at estimating numbers of birds flying across the sky.
Yeah, this is tricky, but after over 20 years counting birds, at the end you are pretty accurate. But some people, they are very amazed about how you do that? It's impossible to count. Especially here, the Strait of Gibraltar is a good place because we have many white storks. The white storks, they fly in big groups that sometimes they mix when they are gliding and kettling, and they are really, really hard to count. And then you have to count and count again and wait. Oh no, they are mixing. I have to start again and start again.
Oh, wow.
It's a good training. And at the end, when you see a flock now, you see more or less there are 200, 300 or whatever.
That's super cool. I love that. You mentioned about writing about feelings, and for me that's a huge part of nature journaling. It is just super important, and I'm wondering about that for you, about how the inner reflection comes through in your nature journal.
Yeah, I also think that is pretty important because it's this link that you make with nature at the end. Because you can make a nice drawing, a nice writing, but if you put your feelings, you are like in there, no? You are also there.
Yes.
You're not only an observer, you are also part of it. And I think it's a good thing for remembering things, because when you read your feeling, I remember that it was even freezing or whatever, or that I was really enjoying this frog or this salamander. And then when you are part of it, you feel inside, you your conservation feelings are much stronger than if you only know the names. Because okay, I can memorize many bird names, but I don't have a link with them. Then the conservation feelings is difficult. This is why I think that I always say that you have to write down your feelings, how you feel that day, or even it is totally different. Like I'm sad today, or I'm very happy because something happened in my life. Just write it down. This is also a good journal for your life.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I also find that it's a very important part of, it's a very important mindfulness practice for me. Like just being in nature, there's something super powerful and stilling about that. Do you find that too?
Yeah, I realized that when you start drawing, the time runs. And when you realize it happened 2 hours, 3 hours, and I didn't realize that you are so focused on what are you watching and what are you drawing or writing, then at the end of it's a perfect mindfulness. I used to make joke with the people and I call it paintfulness, because you're painting.
Yes, I love that.
And it's funny, but it's also true. It's a way of relax, of forget everything, because you forget your worries or your problems or everything in your real life. But when you are drawing in the nature, you forget everything. You are inside this bubble in the nature that you are totally immersed of it. And it's very powerful, the nature journal, to do that. And it's quite easy. You don't have to do anything, just to take your brush or your pencil and draw.
So special.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you attended the Wild Wonder Nature Journal conference, and I wonder about that for you, how that was connecting with people all over the world. And, you know, it's a powerful thing, don't you think, to have teachers come together and to learn from each other. And how was that for you?
Yeah, for me, it was really, really good. And I'm really pleased that it was online, because if it wasn't online, for me, it could be almost impossible to attend. And then to discover there are so many people around the nature journal sketch, because here, as I told you before, in Spain there are not many people. Now there are some people that when you start to check on Instagram, or you see people that they are doing more or less the same, and then you contact them and you talk with them, and it's quite nice to see people with your same interest. When I discovered the White Wonder conference, it was super cool to see how many people they are working all over the world and doing really nice things. I was learning a lot, and I enjoy too much. It was a lot of fun. That's so much that I want to do like a Spanish version of the conference here in Spain. We'll see with time, but it would be very, very nice to show people what you can do and enjoy and do in the nature.
Yeah, I think that's super important, because at the moment, the majority of Nature Journal workshops and Nature Journal interactions seem to be in English. And I think that spreading nature journaling in different languages is really, really important. So do it, and I'll support you in whatever way I can.
Yeah, sure. I would like. We will see. It was a good opportunity to talk with people that probably you would never talk with them. I was in contact with Marley. What is his name?
Marley Pfeiffer.
Marley Pfeiffer. As he speaks Spanish perfectly, so they say, yeah, please, we have to work on it, and the Spanish movement of nature journal. I say, yeah, we have to do it. It's the way to collaborate and to do many things. I also contact with Esther Verboken, that she did. She's from Netherlands, and she's in Spain. So we did a workshop online together, and it was quite cool to work with other people and to know what they are doing, to learn from them. It's super cool.
I would love for you to do a Spanish workshop for International Nature Journaling Week next year, if you would be interested.
Well, of course, it would be super. It's a good idea. I will be very pleased, yeah.
One thing that I have found so amazing about this way that nature journaling is developing online is seeing and connecting with nature in other places. And a funny thing is happening is that I'm getting to know the birds, especially in California, or places that I interact with people very often. And also it reminds me to remember that my birds are super interesting because people from other places say, oh, wow, you have that in your backyard. And it reminds me, oh, yeah, that's cool.
That's true. I forgot it. This is what happened usually, no? That you are looking things everywhere, and now that you can travel everywhere more or less easy, you are always looking for strange birds. But when you look around, you discover your place is very rich, and in any place you are, you have a special things. So it's nice. And here in the Strait of Gibraltar, yeah, it's one of the best places for birds in Europe. So it's very nice to discover what you have here.
That's a special thing to be reminded that our nearby nature is special.
But even simple things like I don't know, for us here, sparrows are very simple things. But even the sparrow is quite cool to see what they do, the breeding season, how they mate, how they moving, and they are just in front of your window. And as soon as you look for some information on something, you see that the house sparrow in Europe is declining, and something is happening. And then, if you don't realize that your birds are here and they are important, then it's complicated because it's your birds, no? And also when they are like you see like a basic bird, normal bird for you, even those birds can have problems, and they do now. This declining the population in Europe, and mainly is because of the insects. So because insects are also disappearing because of the intensive farming and all the things, and then you connect different things, your local birds with your food, for example. Then you think about, where is my food coming? But maybe it's coming from the intensive farming, that they are killing off the insects and they are killing my sparrows. And then you can change your mind, say, oh, yeah, I need to change my way of buying vegetables, no? And things. And then you connect many different things that is very easy to do with the nature journal. You start to draw and then start to connect things that they are unconnected before, and it's very nice.
Yeah, it opens up the mind in the most wonderful way, doesn't it? It helps make connections with things you wouldn't have been thinking about otherwise.
Exactly.
What things have you been investigating in your nature journal lately?
Lately, I didn't draw too much because I'm focused in a project that I had to finish. But one of my last projects, it was with the ants. I was at field one day and I saw like a boom of flying ants everywhere, and they were flying during 5-10 minutes, and I was covered by the ants. It was quite nice. And as soon as they appear, then birds start to appear feeding on the ants, like kestrels and small birds. And it was only 10 minutes, but it was 10 minutes of non-stop things. And then they went down to the ground and they start to dig on the ground and to make holes. I never seen that before. I heard about the flying ants and how they spread and how they make the new tunnels. But I was very lucky. I have a lot of luck to see them like digging and starting the tunnels. And then I'm doing my pages of the nature journal about them. Yeah.
That's amazing. Were they close to home?
Yeah, they was just living. I knew I was working. It's Tarifa. I am living in Tarifa, and it's a small town that in 10 minutes you are in the countryside. And then they were there. It was wet, and then I haven't like 10 minutes from home.
Wow, that sounds really amazing.
Yeah.
Rafa, it's been so good to chat with you today. Thank you for sharing this time and your stories and your experiences.
Thanks to you. I think it was a really pleasure, and I'm very proud that you called me to be here.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Rafa. I liked how he described using words, pictures, and numbers, and specifically how he said you can discover patterns that are hidden until you start to count. This is so true. I find that using numbers is the least natural of the three for me, and that part of the challenge and the fun of using numbers is actually the treasure hunt of finding hidden patterns and searching for numbers in nature. I also liked how Rafa explained that when we start to go beyond objective observations and add our own feelings to our nature journals, we're no longer just an observer. We're part of nature. We're part of what's happening. My favorite quote of the episode is Rafa's description of the presence that we can find when just in the flow, in the moment of making art in nature, and the term painfulness. To learn more about Rafa and his work, you can visit his website and social media, and all the links are in the show notes for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week.